Hello guys, welcome to the Selenium Training. This is Anshul Chauhan from easybix.com, and today we are going to discuss about how we can deal with the test priority and how we can execute the test in parallel using TestNG. So let's have a look at high level agenda. So very first we are going to see what is test priority. Then we will come up to the set the test priority on tests. Then what is the parallel execution. Then we will come to the run test methods in the parallel. Then we will see run test classes in parallel. Okay, and after then we will see how we can group the test cases. Okay, after then we will see how we can group the test cases. So let's start from a very first topic. What is test priority? So test prioritization means assign the execution priority on any test case. In the TestNG, we have a feature you can assign the execution order to any test case. Like if you have 5 test cases, then you can assign the priority on which priority the test case need to execute. Like test case 3 should be executed first, then test case 2 should be executed, then 1 should be executed, then 4 should be executed, then 5th should be executed. So in the TestNG, we have the liberty to do this. We can set the execution priority on the test case. So this is called the test priority. So priority on test case defines the execution order of the test case. Okay, priority can be defined at method level. What does it mean? How does we can see priority defined at a method level? So let's create a project for this. Okay, let's go through with the slide first. To assign the priority to a test case, you just need to define the test priority at method level within the test annotation at the test annotation. So we will see how we can do that. How we can assign the priority to any test case. How we can define the priority at method level, and how we can define the priority at class level. So we will see these things. So for this we already have a project. So suppose here I am creating a new class. Inside my TestNG I am creating a new class. Okay, new class, sample priority test. Okay, here I am declaring some method like public void first test. Just a minute. First test and inside the first test I am printing log first test. Using the same way I am defining some more methods. So first test, second test, third test, fourth test, and in last 5th test. So guys, I'm getting there. Is there anything else? Okay, just remove this. So we have the 5 tests inside my test class. So to declare these methods as a test, I need to put at the test annotation over the test case. So I'll put this on every test case to declare it a test case. We have seen these things in the previous tutorials, how we can create a simple Java method as a test case in TestNG. So we have seen this. So guys, suppose I am just executing this test class using the TestNG. Okay, so you can see I am getting the 5th test, 1st test, 4th test, 2nd test, 3rd test. The log is like fifth test, first test, fourth test, second test, third test. It means the fifth one is executing first, the first test is executing at second, the fourth is executing at third, the second test is executing at fourth, and third is executing in last. So you can see these in the reports, it will be very clear. So in last tutorial we have seen how we can create the report ng report. So I'm just I just copied the path of my report ng report and open it, index.html. now okay, why the report is not being generated? Because I didn't execute it using the testng.xml. So I need to update my test class. So my class is sample priority test. This is the name of my class, and this class is present inside the TestNG package. So I just need to put my class over here. The test case name should be same because it doesn't matter. Okay, I am removing the first test. Okay, for the better clearation, priority test. It doesn't matter what are you giving here. Okay, all you need to concern about the classes. The class name should be correct. Okay, I will execute this testng.xml and suit. You can see all 5 test cases has been executed. Now I can get the report in the in my this form. So you can see the 5th test is executing first is executing second, fourth is executing third, second is executing at fourth, and third is executing at 5th level. So you can see there is no order of the execution in TestNG. TestNG picked the test case at runtime randomly. Okay, so suppose if you want to declare the priority, you want to declare something like this. Okay, my first test case should execute at first, then second should execute, then third should execute, then fourth, and then fifth. So for that we need to define the priority. So how we can define the priority? Priority can be defined at the method level. And how? You can just need to define the test priority method level within the @test annotation. So in the test annotation we will provide a parameter priority equals to whatever you want to put, like priority 1. Okay, so for the second test I am providing the priority 1. Just copy it. For third test case I am providing the priority 2. For this one I am providing the priority 3, and for my last test case I am providing the priority 4. So you can see I have provided the priority on each test excluding my first test. So let's see. So can you guess which test should execute first? The first test should execute first, or the test on which I have assigned the priority 1 should execute first? So to make it clear, we need to again run my test class using the testng.xml. So I have executed it. We can check the report. So I just need to refresh this because report is being generated with the same name. Okay, I need to do something. I need to open the report again. Is there anything wrong? Here I am getting the same first, second, third, fourth, fifth. What is wrong in the report? So I will close it. I will refresh my project using F5. I will go to the location where the report is being generated and I will open it. Okay, report is knowing they are not being updated. Why did I do this? Run as TestNG. All my tests, you can see all my tests are being executed, and you can see first test is being printed first. So first test which executed by TestNG is first test, and second test is second test, and third is third. Why? Because if you are not assigning a priority on any test case, then it means it is a priority 0, and priority 0 will always execute before the priority 1. That's why the first test case is being executed first. The second is executing at priority 1, the third is executing at priority 2, then priority 3, then priority 4. So my test case are being executed on the priority. Now we will need to see why we are not getting the HTML report, the updated HTML report. 5th, 1st, 4th. We will look into it later, but you can see in the console the execution order is like this. So using the priority, we can define the priority on test case. This is the way how we can define the priority on the test case. Okay. So there is a lot of benefits of the priority. Suppose in your testing scenarios, you have some test case which should be executed before some test case. Like test case are dependent on each other, and you want to execute them in that way. Like test case B should execute before the test case C. So in that case, you can define the priority. But practically and professionally, it is not recommended to use the priority on test case. Why? Because it will fix your execution order. Okay. So either do it in priority way, you can do it in the prerequisite way, like you can put these methods or put that particular code what you want to execute before any test case in the before method or before test class. Next thing what we will see is parallel execution. Yes, TestNG have the ability to execute the test cases or test classes in parallel. So parallel execution means execute the test classes or test cases in parallel. It means if you are executing a test using the Selenium WebDriver, then if you have it means you have 5 test case or 6 test case in a single class, and you want to execute these test class in parallel, then you can do that. You can easily do that using the TestNG. You need to do some kind of extra configuration in your TestNG, and using these configuration you can execute the test case in parallel using the TestNG. So we will see how we can execute the test case in parallel. So we can execute the test case, also the test classes in parallel in TestNG. We can execute the test in multi-thread to save the execution time. Yes, by default TestNG should execute one test at a time. Okay, but if you will define the parallel execution, then it will execute the parallel test at one time. So for the parallel execution, TestNG use the multi-threading concepts. It will assign the thread to test cases, and particular test case should execute on that particular thread. So to execute the test case in parallel, we need to modify the testng.xml file. In earlier videos, I told you testng file or testng.xml file is a core file of TestNG framework. So you can see if you need to do anything, you need to just modify the testng.xml, and it will control the execution of your TestNG framework. So if you need to do any kind of execution, if you need to resolve any kind of execution dependency, if you want to perform some kind of extra task in execution, then always what you need to modify your testng.xml. So we have seen we will see how we can modify our testng.xml to perform the test cases in parallel. So run test classes and test methods in parallel. So we can execute the test methods and test classes in parallel by changing the testng.xml file. What does it mean? It means this is my one test class. Sample priority test is my single test class. Okay. Report ng test2 is my second test class. And in my first test class, I have the 5 methods. And I think in report ng test2, I have the 2 methods. So I can execute these tests in the parallel. Let's see how we can do that. So to execute the test methods in parallel, modify the testng.xml like this. We need to add 2 things at a suite level. What? A tag, parallel, and the thread count. Okay. So we will define these things at a suite level. So just open the testng.xml Where is the suite label? Here is my suite label. So I will define one extra parameter, parallel, and define the value methods. I will put another one, thread count, and here you can put any value. Like you want to execute the test case in one thread, it means only a single test will execute at a time. If you will keep it 2, it means 2 test case can execute at a one time. If you will put it 3, it means 3 test case should execute at a one time. If you will put it 4, it means 4 test case should be executed at a 4 time. This can be anything, but all your execution depends on the configuration of your server or configuration of your machine. If you have a very high configure machine, then you can put anything like here. Like I have executed almost 10 test cases in a in parallel, and I am using 16 GB machine. So and I'm talking about the Selenium test cases. In these test cases, you need to open the browser and command fire on the browser and do something. So these my system is capable to open 10 Chrome instance at a single time and run these on these 10 Chrome instance without delaying or without countering any error inside my test cases. So for the starting, I will put it at level 2. Okay. Now I will execute my TestNG.xml. Okay, so it executed. Just give me a minute. So it took. Okay, so using this way we don't find out which test case is the test case is executing parallel mode or not. So to find out the test case is executing in a parallel mode or not, we need to find out some way how we can do that. So as I told you, test case, if test case are executing in a parallel mode, then they are using the concept of the multi-threading. So to see how to find out the way how we can is the test case actually executing in the parallel mode, we can do one thing. We can find out the thread ID and we can print it, so that we can easily find out which thread ID is being used by the which test case. So let's find out a thread ID. Thread dot. No, we don't have any method using the get ID. Okay. So find out the current thread. We don't need to find the current thread on get ID. So it will return me the thread ID of the current thread what is being used by this particular test case, and I will print the ID over here like this plus ID. Okay, so we need to do this in every test case. So I have, and I will print the test ID with thread ID with in each test plus ID plus ID plus ID. What I just did, I am finding out the thread ID which is being executed. The thread which is executed that particular test case, I am finding out the ID of that thread and printing out that ID. So in my TestNG.xml, we have seen I am executing the methods in parallel. Methods mean the test methods in parallel, and thread count is 2. So let's see what it will do. So it will it actually execute the test in parallel or not? We will see. And we need to look at our console. So you can see my first test case is executing at thread which has the ID 11. My second test is being executed with the thread which has the ID 12, and the third one is again in 11, fourth one is again in 11, fifth one is again in 11. Why the thread number 11 executing 4 tests and 12 is being used by only second test? Because my tests are very small. they are not getting too much time to get execute. Okay, that's why at runtime it is not taking too much time, so that's why only these can be executed in a single thread. So I will execute it again, so you can see this time the output may be different. The first one is executing by 11 and the rest of the test case is being executed by another threads. I can execute it again, so you can see the output may be different every time. So what can we do? We will put thread 3. Let's see what will be the execute if we are executing the 3 test case in parallel. So you can see first, second, third both are executing, both tests are being executed by the another threads. So this is the way how you can execute the test methods in a parallel. Okay, now we will see how we can execute the test classes in parallel. So we will copy this code, and suppose we want to execute execute 2 classes in parallel, report ng test1 and report and my sample test priority test. So I will put that code over here to find out the ID on which particular ID the particular class is being executed. Okay, so to execute the test classes in parallel, I need to replace that methods with the classes. Okay, and I will run the TestNG.xml as a TestNG suites. Okay, I forgot to mention the class over here. So when I am executing 2 test classes, so I will include another test class over here. Like my first test class is TestNG dot sample priority test, and my second class is report test1, report ng test1. So I will put it over here, report ng test1. Always remember the name is case sensitive, so if you are doing any mistake in the name, then it will not execute your test case. So you can see my first test. Okay, keep it 2 to make it more clear. Why? Because we have only 2 test classes, so we want to execute one test class will execute in a one thread and another test class will execute in a another thread. So let me execute it one more time. So you can see first test from the report ng is executing in a thread number 12 first, and then 2 threads again execute the test from the sample priority test, execute in the thread number 11, then the test from the report ng execute in thread number 12, then again these execute in the thread number 12, 11 and 12. So whenever a thread completes its execution and it's free, so it doesn't mean that another, suppose we have 2 tests in a class 1 and we have 5 tests in class 2, and both test classes are executing in a different threads. So if suppose class A have executed their execution in 5 minutes, okay, class B is still executing, and we have 2 more methods to be executed in class B, then it doesn't mean that the thread which is being executed by the class A will be identical, and the all 2 test case in the class B will execute in the same class and in which thread they are executing. No, if any thread is identical, then the methods which are still to be executed will pick up that thread. So this is the same way what is doing here. Thread 12 is being in the test case, the class name report ng test1 is being executed in the thread 12, but it will find, okay, after this execution 12 was free, so the methods which are present in my first class pick up the thread 12 which was free at that time. Okay, so this is the way how you can execute the test methods or the test class in parallel using TestNG. Let's come to our next slide. So we have seen how we can execute the test class. So for the methods, for the test cases or methods, if you want to test case or method in parallel, you need to define the methods in parallel, and if you want to execute the test classes in parallel, then you need to define the classes over here in your TestNG.xml. Next is we will see the test grouping. So test case grouping is one of the important feature of the TestNG. What does it mean? Suppose we have seen, if you are working in any firm as a TestNG, then you have seen many times the test cases are being categorized by the regression, functional, smoke, sanity. So what is this? This is the group, the test case which belongs to a particular group. So in TestNG we have the liberty, if you want to execute your regression test only, then you can do that. If you want to execute the test case which have the group smoke, then you can do that. So for that to execute only the smoke or to execute only the test case, we need to do some kind of amendment in our test scripts and our testng.xml. So definitely you have you already have understand the importance of the test case grouping, because it is very common. You need to put some kind of test case from a test pool, then you can do that easily. If you want to write down a program for this, then it will take a lot of time and a lot of man work, and still it doesn't get you can't be guaranteed that it will execute successfully or not. But with the TestNG we can easily do that. The feature was missing in JUnit. So in TestNG we can divide the test in groups or modules or execute the specific group. Okay, suppose in your application you have different modules, like you have modules profile, and you have another module home, you have another mobile membership, and another module license, and another module like anything like member management or user management. So if you want to divide your test case in that way, then you can also do that, and you can pick at runtime, you can pick only these test case which are related to, or which have the specific module. So from your test pool you can only pick the profile related test case, or the member related test case, or member maintenance related test case. So this is very easy with the help of TestNG. So how to execute groups? You need to amend your testng.xml, okay, and add the below tags inside your test tags like this. But before this we need to define the groups. So just come to our previous class. To define a group to any test case, what we need to do, we need to pass the parameter groups to TestNG @test annotation, and we need to define the group name like smoke. So it means my first test belongs to the group smoke. Okay, if you want to put the group and priority together, then just put a comma, groups equals to, and suppose I want to put like sanity. So my second test cases belong to sanity. In the same way, my third test case belong to sanity, my fourth test case belong to smoke, and my I forgot to put the comma over here, my mistake, and my fifth test case belongs to functional. Okay, so we have already maintained our scripts. So we have defined the label. Okay, this particular test case is smoke test case, this test case is sanity test case, this test case is a sanity test case, this is smoke test case, this test case is a functional test case. Now suppose we want to execute only sanity test case. So how we can do that? So to do that, we need to modify our testng.xml. Inside your test tag and outside your classes tag, we need to put tag like run, and we need to put groups run include name and the group name like this. Groups run, then we put include name, and here I will provide the name of my group like smoke. Okay, close the run, close the groups. Okay, mistake. First close the include, then close the run, then close the groups. Okay, so we are defining the groups. What we need to execute? We need to run the group which have the name smoke. So suppose I want to execute that testng.xml. So you can see only two tests are being executed. First test which have the first test and fourth test. So look at our class. First test is having the group smoke and my fourth test having the group smoke. Rest of the group test case are being annotated by the different groups. So suppose you want to execute multiple groups at a runtime. So we just need to put another include over here and define the group name. Like we need to execute the smoke and functional. Okay, just run it out. So you can see three test cases are being executed. The fifth test executed. So the fifth test is executed because it has the group functional. So this is the way how you can assign the group to any test case. It doesn't mean that you can assign the group in a single class. You can do it in a multiple class as well. So suppose we have another class report ng test1. So we will define a group smoke and sanity. Now again we will execute the smoke and functional. So it will execute the 4 test methods. 3 from the test class 1 and 1 from test class 2, which is report ng test1. So because in our testng.xml we have defined the 2 classes. So what we need to do, suppose we need to execute only smoke test case. So we need to include the group smoke and we need to put all the classes which have the smoke test inside my classes tag in my testng.xml. So this is the way how we can assign the group. Now question is, can we assign the multiple groups to a single test case? It may be the case in the real time that your functional test could be the regression member or could be the sanity member or could be the smoke member. So to assign a multiple group to any test case, we just need to put parenthesis and comma separated. Now it means this test, that first test belongs to the 2 group smoke and regression. Okay, in the same way this belongs to the 2 groups functional and regression. Just put one more over here like smoke. Okay, put the sanity one as well. Regression. So now I have included 3 tests in my regression test. First test and 5th test and 1 test from my another class. Now I need to include one more group over here, regression. Suppose I need to execute only my regression test case. So I have commented out both my groups and include the regression group. So what it will execute? I hope it will execute 3 tests. Yes, definitely. The 3 tests are being executed because regression group is being assigned to the 3 test cases. Okay. Now suppose, and you can see I have assigned the multiple groups to some test cases. Like test 5th has the multiple group. It is sharing 2 groups. Test 1st is sharing 2 groups and another test in the report ng is sharing 2 groups. There is no limitation. You can assign any number of groups to any test case. Okay. Now suppose I need to execute the groups smoke, functional and regression. So it doesn't mean that it will execute the test. Suppose a test case like my first test is assigning with the group name smoke and regression. So it doesn't mean it will execute the single test twice. No, it will execute my 1 test case only once. So 5th test case are being executed because 2 test case was related to the, okay, let's see, first test and second test are being executed from report 2. Okay, first test case is smoke test case, then it is a regression test case, and here I have a smoke here smoke here and regression here. So 3 test cases are being picked from the sample priority and 2 test cases are being picked from my second class. Now suppose in your case, what you need to do, you need to execute your regression test. Okay, you need to execute your smoke test. What you need to do, you need, suppose, okay, you have assigned smoke and regression on this particular test case. You have a requirement, you need to assign this test case whose label is only smoke. So in that case, if I will include smoke over here, if I will remove this particular regression, then it will execute all test case which are annotated with the smoke groups, which is related to smoke group. So but I have a requirement, okay, this test case is being assigned by the 2 groups. I don't need to execute it. I need to execute only those test cases who is related to a group, a specific group like smoke group. So in that case, I need to avoid this group, or I need to exclude this group. In that case, I need to put exclude over here. Okay, what does it mean? Include all these test cases which have the group smoke, but exclude those test cases which have the group regression. It means it will avoid these test case, it will skip this test case. It has the group smoke, but it also has the group regression. So at runtime it will skip that particular test case. Let's see. So you can see only 2 test cases are being executed. Which one? First test from report.ng. Why? Because it is being assigned by the smoke, and second test, 4th test from my first file, because it is being assigned by smoke. Okay, my first test is which have the group smoke and regression has been excluded. Why? Because I excluded the group from my testng.xml file. This is the way. Okay guys, so this is the way how you can grouping the test cases. Okay, so we have seen how we can assign a single group, or how we can assign a multiple group. We have already seen how we can include a multiple groups, how we can include a single group. We have seen how we can exclude the group. So this is all about the grouping. So thank you guys, thanks for your time. So if you have any question or any query regarding the parallel execution, regarding priority, or regarding grouping, test case grouping, then please ask or put your question inside the comments, and we will be happy to answer you. If you like the stuff, if you like the video, then please like and share my video. Thank you so much.